Hello everyone, Pine Iron Apple here with another Doctor Who Big Finish audio, The Fifth Doctor Adventures, 40 Part 1. No, this is not the 40th box set in the Fifth Doctor range, it isn't even the 10th. This box set contains two stories, with the Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison as the focus, meaning to celebrate the fourth decade of the Fifth Doctor's existence. The Fifth Doctor is thrusted upon his incarnation's timeline back and forth, but for some reason, both stories hold connections back to the Second Doctor. Seriously, we're celebrating the Fifth Doctor by making a sequel to a Second Doctor story and another story whose enemies were popularised by said Doctor's time. It's not bad, just strange. I listened to these stories as I worked around the house and haven't gotten time to listen to the latest Ninth Doctor range, but that will be the next Big Finish box set that I do review. So now let's get into the first story, Secrets of Telos by Matt Fitton. This story works as a sequel to the Second Doctor story, The Tomb of the Cybermen. As the Doctor, freshly shifted ahead in his own timeline, and blissfully unaware of Adric's death I might add, lands with Tegan and Nyssa on the ship leaving Telos, that contains the surviving side characters from that episode. We don't get any answers on who or how he is shifted in time, and it seems that he was taken from the aftermath of Four to Doomsday, I would say, and placed sometime after the episode Arc of Infinity. But the basic plot of the story, across its 4 parts, is the ship leaving Telos is attacked by Cybermen. Unfortunately, the Doctor is suspected as a murderer due to being found over a crew member's body. They spend some time on the ship, but it is eventually sufficiently damaged that our heroes leg it to escape and crash land onto a nearby planet connected to Telos, but utterly different, dubbed Telos Minor. This planet is basically hidden, and the gang find a cyber factory and a new character there, where after some of the usual running around, they defeat the Cybermen and leave. That's the basic rundown, so if you want to listen you can still get something more from the story, but, you know, basically all you need is in there. Let's talk characters now. Peter Davison is as good as ever. The troubles of having to convince these people, who just left a different version of him, that he's the same person, were a little annoying but understandable. His performance, even if the writing made me feel a little disinterested while on the ship, was great. And I couldn't really find flaws while in the second half of the story on the mystery planet. His journey as well, learning of Adric and realising that his friends are keeping something from him, were particularly emotionally engaging as well. Sarah Sutton as Nyssa and Janet Fielding as Tegan were also pretty good performances. I found Janet Fielding's voice to be a little more noticeably older than Sarah Sutton, but that is by no means a downside, just an observation. They work pretty well in the story and feel like they are written consistently with their TV personalities. Christopher Timothy played Professor Parry, and was quite the endearing character, even making some surprising but engaging choices at the end. He is a character from Tomb of the Cybermen, and had very good chemistry with the Doctor here, and worked well off of a more antagonistic character we'll get to now. Fellow academic to Parry is Professor Vansom, played by Barbara Flynn, who was just seen in the television programme playing Tecteun, an actor I really liked in that role. Here she is a pretty engaging antagonist, not working with the Cybermen, but had her own understandable means and values as she attempted to adapt the cyber technology to her advantage. An enjoyable antagonist and a great performance, not much else to say. The other two characters on the ship were Morton, played by Tasman Outhwaite, who played a character who fought the Cybermen in Nightmare in Silver, and was apparently once married to Lucifer himself, Tom Ellis. Interesting fact, but I'm getting off topic. The other character was Captain Hopper, played by Ronan Summers, who was predictably uptight and paranoid to our main cast, but wasn't bad enough to detract from the story overall. The Cybermen themselves were, in my opinion, overshadowed by Professor Vansom as the antagonists. They worked well to create a sort of base under siege on the ship, like the feeling that was created in fellow audio drama, The Sword of Orion. Or is that just Sword of Orion? I'm confused. But once we get to Telos Minor and are introduced to Vansom and her cyber animals, she becomes the focus, even if the Cybermen appear again. This isn't necessarily bad, but was really odd and honestly a little jarring for me as the listener. I wish the story had a little more focus or be better paced to allow both Vansom and the Cybermen to be good villains in their own right, as well as together in the same story. To conclude this story, the summary is interesting at face value, but in my opinion fails to be a celebration of the Fifth Doctor. The inclusion of Telos Minor was a very interesting concept that I hope is returned to, as I feel its full potential was not utilised here, and is overall jarringly paced. The non-cyber characters were mostly positive, but weren't anything amazing removed from the performances. The casting was great, and I enjoyed myself enough, but it failed to hold my full attention, so I'd have to give The Secrets of Telos an average 5 out of 10. Now on to the second story, God of War by Sarah Grochala. In this story, the Doctor is flung back in his timeline this time, to sometime between Fort of Doomsday and Earthshock, where he is shocked to find an alive Adric, after being told about his future death in the previous story. Our characters arrive on an island in 9th century Iceland, where a Viking woman and her daughters live. But this mother does all she can to appease the gods, who are really just ice warriors. It takes the usual path in an Ice Warrior story. They try to make peace, someone ruins it, leading to a lot of death. The main Ice Warrior, Grand Marshal, is tricked into his own destruction as our cast escape. I did not find this story very interesting, unfortunately. But the shorter runtime did at least mean that my attention didn't waver as much as the first story, even if I think so much more could have been done with the premise in a longer story. Peter Davidson does well as the Doctor here as well. The appearance of Adric leading to a couple of nice moments as he tries to deal with his grief and change mistakes in his attitude towards the boy, but is wasted in the two-part story, amounting to, well, as I said, just a couple of moments. Nothing else that really affected me. By the end, he makes a good declaration to find who is shifting him in time, and has a nice moment with Adric at the end. But apart from that, here he was just bleedingly average. Nyssa and Tegan give me the same feeling as in the past story. I feel they have more to do here, but they deliver their lines just about as well as they did before. Although, the writing I feel could be a little better. It felt quite strange that the MacGuffin they used to stop the Ice Warriors was mentioned as soon as they left the TARDIS, but to my recollection was not mentioned again until it was needed for the ending. A general rule of thumb in writing, I know, Chekhov's gun, but it just felt odd here. Something that was barely explained until the cast needed it and only mentioned once, I feel like it could have been done a little better. Matthew Waterhouse reprises his role as Adric here, and he is Adric. Yeah, I was never the biggest fan of the character, not a lot of people were, but he's fine in this story, and the interactions he has with the Doctor are a real positive. Our other human characters are the mother and daughter, Revna and Inga. Revna made her way to the island with her daughters after being wronged, and is now working to free the Ice Warriors from underground, under the impression that they were sent by the gods. Her daughters assist, as well as Inga, who is the only credited daughter. These two are fine, nothing special. They were engaging enough. The Ice Warriors were the villains of the piece, and sorry, they sucked. The main Ice Warrior felt like a quite generic military type, but is not in the story enough to be given understandable and entertaining motives beyond evil. He's just a depressingly poor copy of Grand Marshal Skaldak from Cold War. The other Ice Warriors, I'm not even sure if they had a speaking role. So either they didn't or were just terribly unengaging. So the characters were fine overall. The story was intriguing and had a lot left to be desired. I can't call it bad, but it's certainly below average, so I'll give God of War by Sarah Grochala a 4 out of 10. Overall, this box set is an underwhelming listen. If I were you, I would wait until you find it on sale to get. Neither of the stories are incompetent, but one certainly suffers far more than the other. And the through line between stories may be engaging, but is left unresolved and just seems to be a reason to connect the stories, even if it allows a decent emotional moment every now and then. The Fifth Doctor Adventures 40 Volume 1, I give an overall 4.5 out of 10. Thank you everybody so much for watching my review of 40 Box Set 1. Like the video if you liked it. Comment down below if you wish. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this one, and check my channel to watch videos I've already made. Ring the notification bell if you do, and once again, I will see you in the next video. Bye!
Toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.